So good afternoon to all of you. And today we will be starting with the Unit 16, Presentation Techniques and Introductory Activities. Unit 15, 16, and 17, they are all interrelated. So when you want to study, you have to keep an eye on all these three and combine that, then things will be clear in your mind, okay? There are different combinations, like if you see previously we talked about skills and sub-skills. So those four topics need to be covered in group, then it is clear. So likewise, 15, 16, 17 need to be covered together, then you will have an idea about it. So let me share the screen with you. And 16. Right. Part 3, this is the third part of the module 1 and the last one. Background to language teaching, continuity of that topic. Unit 16, presentation techniques and introductory activity. So this presentation is not about the usual way that we do presentation to introduce the things to the people about something particular topic. This presentation techniques is how you introduce your lesson when you are teaching in a class. So there also you do the presentation. Like if you see the approach, we talk about Ppp method, presentation, practice, and production. Okay, so this is that presentation. And introductory activities also we will be discussing in it, that what type of introductory activity we do when we start the lesson. Presentation techniques are the ways used by the teacher to focus learners' attention on the meaning, use, and sometimes form of new language. So when we do presentation of the lesson, it sometimes be focusing on the meaning, where the lexis is involved, sometimes use, which is function, is involved in it, and sometimes it might be form of the new language, where the structure is involved in it. When introducing it to them for the first time, introductory activities are activities used by a teacher to introduce a lesson or teaching topic. Now, introductory activities, what's the function of it? We use it when we start a lesson. So we select what type of introductory activity need to be used in order to prepare the students and their focus and concentration towards the topic. Right, key concept. Now here, if you see, there are two methods they have put here. One is the Ppp method, other is the Tbl method. Now we talked about it in the previous lesson, and that what these methods are. And now we will see when the teacher is adopting that method while teaching, what are the steps she follows, all right? So you see the first one on the left side is the presentation, practice, and production lesson, and other side is task-based lesson, learning lesson, Tbl and Ppp. Now you see, compare it, aim. The Ppp aim is for students to learn the difference between countable and uncountable nouns and when to use a and some with them. Now that's the topic, right? First, we will go through the Ppp method. Procedure. Number 1, ask students what food and drinks they like at a birthday party. Now you just see here, topic is what? Countable, uncountable nouns and the use of a and some with them. Now, how she's starting the topic? She starts with the asking student about the food. Now, how she's going to relate it to the topic, you just see stepwise. Food and drinks they like at a birthday party. So everyone has the birthday party. So they have, now she's asking a question which is related to every student. Every student celebrate the birthday party. Food is there, drink is there, everyone knows, and then they have their favorite food and drink and all that. Number 2, stick on the board magazine pictures of different party foods. The pictures should be a mixture of countable and uncountable nouns. Now you just see how she's relating that topic, practically pasting the pictures. See, that's how she has prepared about the lesson. Okay, so which should be a combination of the countable and uncountable nouns in the picture about the food and drink, right? For example, ice cream, sandwiches, cola, fruit, bananas, chicken legs, cake, a box of sweet, right? Then further, what does she do? Number 3, ask student the names of food items and write the names on the board under each picture. Now, picture she has pasted, she's involving student in it. Okay, tell me the names of it. So they take interest in it. Now, this is, she's creating the students' interest in the topic. Number 4, say to the student, I'm having a birthday party this weekend. I would like a box of sweet, a cake for my party. I would like some ice cream, some cola, some fruit, some sandwiches, some bananas, and some chicken legs. Now, these all she has put on the board. Now she's giving an instruction to them. Okay. Number 5, say, I would like a box of sweets. I would like a cake. I would like some ice cream, etc. And ask the student to repeat each sentence chorally together. I would like this, I would like this. So this is the repetition they are doing. 6, point out the students that you can count some nouns, but you can't count others. The ones you can count are called countable nouns, and the ones you can't count are called uncountable nouns. You use a with the singular countable nouns and some with uncountable nouns are plural countable nouns. This is now you are telling them the instruction regarding the structure wise how they have to use the language there. Number 7, ask the students some concept question. Now, what's concept question? For example, which of the food items on the board are countable, uncountable, singular, or plural? Now, concept question, try to understand what is it. Concept question is what you teach the student. You ask the student a question in it such in a way that they have to use their own brain and see whether practically they can answer that question they have understood it. They have not just memorized, okay, or will be the singular and some will be the uncountable. Okay, now are they able to practically use it? So she has to ask a concept question. Okay, and here the concept question comes, like she says, which of the food items on the board are countable, uncountable, singular, or plural? Now they have to use that instruction and find it out. 8, student do a written gap fill exercise, filling the gaps with a or some. Now, Ppp method, this is the second stage comes. First presentation stage she completed. Second stage, what she does, she has prepared a gap filling exercise based on some and a. Now, they need to know that how is use a and some with which kind of nouns, countable and uncountable. So when she gives a gap filling activity, which we call Do you remember what is it called? A gap filling activity comes into which category? We have discussed that. Anyone? Control practice activity. And control or restricted practice activity, it means that the students are focusing on learning a particular point or area of the language, not whole. Now here they are learning the use of some and a. So it's a control practice activity. So when they fill the gaps, there they need to be careful, and there should be, the mistake should be corrected over there. Why? Because they are learning the structure, that how to be used it. So their perfection need to be there. They should not make, the teacher should be 100% sure that they have understood it. That's why this activity is done. Okay. Number 9, students work in pairs with a worksheet of pictures of food and drink items. One student tells other student what they would like for their party. For example, I would like some, while the other student takes notes, then they swap roles. Now you see here, this is the production time. Now they did the practice. Then production is like she gives a kind of activity in pairs where the students are swapping the roles with each other and writing on the sheet what would they like. So each student gave the comments and they write over there. All right. This thing is understood, the Ppp method she is doing the lesson. Is this clear? Now we will go back to see the difference between the Ppp with the Tbl method. Now you see Tbl method. Aim for students to choose food and drink for a birthday party. Topic is same, method is different. Okay, so procedure. Hold a discussion with the students about when their birthdays are, what presents they would like, what good birthday parties they have been to, and what they like to eat and drink at birthday parties. Now you just see, compare this procedure here. She's asking straight away question of that, but here she's giving a chance and holding a discussion, right? What they like, what type of parties they have been arranging, and what they like to do with that, and all this, what they like to drink and eat in it. So discuss about it. Number 2, put students into small groups and give them a worksheet with pictures, names, and prices of the food on it. Now you just see here. Here she does it a little bit different way. Here she gives there she pastes the pictures. Here she is giving sheet with the pictures and a worksheet with pictures, names, prices of food on it. Now further, what does she say? She's asking them, tell the students to do this task, choose the food and drink they would like for a birthday party for 10 friends. Now this is a little bit different than that one. Keeping with a price limit, for example, $10. So she's giving the price list is there, price limit budget is there, and then they have to select out of it. Okay. And how many people? 10 friends are invited in it. The students do the task while the teacher goes around the class listening and answering any questions. So she gave that task to them, and then she is monitoring and observing them and moving around where if they need help in the language implementation. So she helps them out in it. 5, each group tells the other group what decision they have made. So groups are there, and then they talk to each other about what they have done and how comparing with each other, the way they are organizing their own party. God, why it is not? Option is not coming to make it bigger. Can you see that? Is it possible for you to see that? Because
Yes.
it is not zooming. I don't know why I'm clicking on it, but the option is not coming. Anyhow, number 6, the student asks the teacher question about any language they need for the task, and or the teacher tells the student about any language she noticed that they didn't know as they were doing the task. Language practice is going on. They ask about if they need to express something or say something in it, and the teacher is there to help them out and about the language expressions which they don't know. The pronunciation of some of words and when used and some. Okay. Number 7, students write a note to their parents saying what food and drink they would like at their birthday parties. So this is the Tbl method. And when you see, it is quite different than the way the previous one, which is the Ppp method. Did you understand the difference in the two ways? So my question from you is, which method you will select for what type of students, what age category? Can you tell me? Like, you are a teacher, these two methods you are going to apply on a lesson. So which one will you recommend in the primary and in the secondary? And why?
Pp for the primary, grade 1.
Ppp, yeah, Ppp for the primary, because a limited area they need to be focusing and not much practice of the language over there. All right. So the other one, Tbl, is mostly for the adult students. Secondary one, that's the best method to practice. And if you see the language wise, in the Tbl, it is more practical use of language. You know, discussion, it starts with a discussion. Other side is starting with the to the point what the language they need to focus on. So if you see, Tbl method is a little bit more better in form of practicing the fluency, communication. And the Ppp method is also communication and fluency comes in the end, but mainly it is on the structure side. They are that the language need to be taught clearly and the use of it in that way. Okay, so you can just analyze both methods and see here they have given the analyzation of that, analyzing all this, and they have told you stepwise how it is. These lesson plans show two common and different ways of presenting new language items, two different ways. There are several different differences in how they present them. And now first the Ppp method. Language is clear aim and focus of the lesson. Clearly focusing, this is what is need to be taught. 2, the teachers puts the target language, the language selected for learning, into a situation which shows what it means. Situational presentation, that is what called. Okay, these things you people need to note it down with us. What is situational presentation? And they have shown it to you in the step 1. Next is the teacher then makes sure that the students remember previously studied language needed to practice the new language by eliciting. What does it mean? Eliciting, asking student to say the language rather than giving it to them, asking them. Okay, step 2 and 3, she is following that method. Then comes the teacher next models the target language. You need to know what do you mean by modeling the target language. And the student just listen, step 4. All right. The students then repeat the target language in choral drills a very controlled and restricted practice activity. Focusing. Control and restricted is focusing on a particular point to learn carefully and completely. For example, one in which they can use only the new language without making mistakes. When the gap filling is there, one word they have to put, so mistakes chances are less. Step 5, they do that. The teacher tells students about grammatical use of new language. Step 6, the teacher asks the student concept question. For example, question that check their understanding of the use and meaning of new language. Okay, concept question, like they check in that whether they have understood and they can use it or not, or they just have memorized it. So for that, you ask a concept question, and it is asked in the step 7. That's how you ask the concept question about the language, new language they have learned. Then comes the students then do a controlled practice activity focusing on form. Step 8. Controlled practice activity does, and then further practice activity focusing on meaning. Step 9. This is how they have analyzed. You have to go through those steps, and then keeping that in mind, how the lesson is presented in the class. And in your own teaching style, you can adopt these methods, not necessarily everything which they have put it, but you can get the idea of it and you can arrange your lessons in that way. That would be like a very standard, internationally recognized standard of giving the presenting a lesson. And if somebody is taking your demonstration for the teaching or something, and you present the lesson in that way, wow, they will be totally satisfied the way. Now it depends that your fluency, how you do it, and how you use the terms, and how to the point you are using the language, how you involve the students in it. All that depends. Not only that, okay, you are following the method. It depends how much you are capable of following that method. Okay, so my advice to you people and suggestion is that try to adopt these methods, and in that way your standard of teaching will be totally at a different level. Right. Then comes to next, you can see that the presentation stage of PPP lesson, step 4 to 7, which is highlighted there, that is the presentation stage. The teacher first set up context, okay, for presentation, presenting the new language that shows its meaning. Then models. Models mean provides a model for students to copy. The target language for the students to repeat before highlighting the form of and use of language through drills. You need to know what drills are, and concept questions. Concept checking, which gives students the opportunity to notice and focus on these. The lesson then moves on to the practice stage. These things you people have to totally digest word by word, understanding that how this lesson is done, because this is the cream of the whole thing which we discussed previously. So the cream is coming over here, that in the end you come to the practical teaching. Then how you do that? That method completely they have mentioned here. You have to very carefully going through that, making your notes, understanding it, visualizing it. If you got any kind of question is not clear to me, contact me anytime, because this is the key thing. This is what you learn out of it. Okay, right. Next comes to the method which we adopted is the TBL, task-based learning lesson. Let's do the surgery of this lesson. What was there? The aim of the lesson is for the student to complete a task. It starts with a task. The teacher starts by contextualizing the topic, mean putting it in situation which shows its meaning. Step 1. The teacher gives the student task to do. Step 3, 4, 5. Then the teacher and student discuss any new and problematic language, they need it for the task, step 6, where she is moving around and asking and seeing where they need the help regarding the use of the language. Lastly, the student do a task to consolidate the language. Step 7, consolidate the language. Consolidate mean reinforce the language. You will find the meaning of it in the glossary. Glossary, very closely you need to study with the topic, because glossary will give you a summarized kind of idea about the whole topic. Along with that, in the glossary, you will find the definitions, terms, and short kind of examples also. So it's very important. That's why I say glossary is the Bible to the TKT. Okay. So that is called consolidating. Consolidating means you are making sure, affirming that what you taught, they have learned it. They have understood it. Okay. You can see that in a TBL lesson, the presentation of new language step 6, in fact, follows the stage in which students use the new language. This allows the student to focus first on the meaning of the new language rather than its form. So if you see in the TBL, they don't go towards the form first. They go first to the meaning, communication, the use of it. That's the difference in it. So this method TBL1 is not okay for the small children. Yeah, some activities you can take out of it and you can adopt for the small one also, but not the whole method of the TBL. A Ppp approach to presenting new language focuses directly on both the meaning and use of form of target language, gives students an opportunity to practice language in safe learning environment where it's difficult to make mistakes. That's the Ppp approach. They are focusing on learning the language particular area, the target one, and it is in the safe environment. Why? Because they don't let to give you any chance to that happen there to make mistakes. That's why controlled practice activities are done there. That's why gap filling, yes, no, or true, false kind of activities where the focus is learning at that particular point. Right. So what happens when they adopt this method? It can therefore be quite a confidence building approach for the student. Ppp method makes build up the confidence in the student in learning the language. Why? Because they become 100% sure that they know how to use it and what's the appropriate grammatical function of it and how to form it, right? So they become confident of that. But it makes students learn language items they may not be interested in or ready to learn. It gives them few opportunities to really use the language in communication. Now, this is the drawback. Drawback is like here, it gives less opportunities for the student to use it, you know, and it is very much focusing on the form of it. So sometimes students, they don't take interest in the grammatical structure and form side. They are very interested in the use. Okay. So this kind of problem also will be there, which is coming on the drawback side of it. Like everything plus and minus kind of points are there in everything. Now, Tbl approach. Tbl approach, on the other hand, allows students to find new language when they want to and to use language experimentally, creatively, for real communication. Now, if you see in the Tbl method, she has given them a discussion. So when you are doing a discussion, you are using the language, and whatever it is in your mind about the language, you are using it to communicate. You are not restricted there. All right. So now what happens when they want to and to experimentally find? In this way, it puts second language learners in a situation which is quite similar to the one in which children learn their first language. Now, if you see when they are going to do the discussion on it, so it's the same way like we learn our first language. So we are openly talking about that and using it. So similar kind of situation is created here in the Tbl method, which gives opportunity to the students that to speak openly and how whatever they know about communication, they use over there. Some learners may find this approach to language learning exciting and challenging. Why? Exciting and challenging because they are communicating. then they utilize the whole vocabulary and whatever they know that has come into practical use. So they are excited and it's challenging for them also. They may not be fluent in it. And that's why teacher is moving around and helping them with the language, what is needed for that at that time. Others may wish to more guidance and structure to help them. So there might be some who may not be able to do this. Why? Because they need more guidance on the structure of the language. Why? Because if structure is not clear in your mind, you cannot make a sentence. You can't make dialogues. So some may need help in that. That's why teacher is moving around to help them. Is this clear? The analyzing of the both PPP and the Tbl, both sides. So it is just to get an idea, but in your own time, you have to go through that word by word to understand it perfectly. Okay. Now coming further, discussion goes on. PPP and Tbl are not the only ways of presenting new language. Now they told you these two methods are there, but this is not the only way. You know, this is one, two ways only they said you can present the lesson in that way. Ayo.